All right, welcome to another video from the Chart Readers. Hey, if you have not already, please check out the website chartreaders.com. You can see all my past videos, and then if you scroll to the bottom, there is a free weekly email you can sign up for. All you need is an email address. So today's video, we are going to be looking at energy and oil, okay? And we're going to start with SCO. So SCO is our inverse. This is our short on oil. If this goes up, that means oil is going to go down, okay? If this goes down, that means oil is going to go up. That's what inverse means, okay? So I like to use this to gauge how the oil stocks are going to do, right? One more time. If this goes up, the others go down. So what's been happening? Look, obviously we've been trading under the 8 for a really good week now, right? Pretty much actually since the 3rd till actually through today. We're definitely still under the 8. There is definitely a curve happening right here. And it looks like there was a pretty solid bounce point off one of my lines, right? So again, we are sitting under all of them, right? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 colored lines. These are my 5 moving averages. So if we didn't bounce from here, we definitely could have gone down. Look, I will say tomorrow is probably going to be a pretty important day. There's about 2 hours of trading left. So, I mean, unless something crazy happens, I don't think it's going to actually happen today. But this right here is a pretty tight cluster, the 50 and the 8, right? So if this breaks through it, that could be a really bad sign for oil. Ideally, if you're a fan of oil and you have some money in some of the tickers we're going to review, this point, fails and it works its way back down, right? So I definitely see a curve, right? Red or green, whatever happens, I see this happening, right? And it looks like we bounced from here and kind of confirmed up here. For me, I think this is going to matter a lot. Really, if you want to know the truth, 27 in general is going to matter the most because you're going to break this as well as the 20. But ultimately, this 26 range might be a little hard, and we might know what happens tomorrow. So again, if this continues to curve up, get out of oil short term. If this hits this and falls down, oil stocks could do a nice little run. Again, what really sucks is all these oil stuff, like the oil stocks aren't doing very well, but gas prices are going up, right? And just remember, the stock market does not reflect real life. I keep telling my wife that. She's like, why? I'm in LA. We're nearly $7 a gallon, right? But these oil stocks that we look at, again, they're just not going crazy. Again, look, we were trading up the 8 for a number of weeks. These last 2 weeks really brought us down. Again, if this continues to go down, that's going to be really good for oil holders. Otherwise, if this goes back up, oil is going to be a scary place to be. And it's pretty early in the week, right? So it looks like it's at least trying to take back the 20. But and then look, just kind of going back to it, this 26 line is going to be real important because that's pretty much sitting right on the 8. So now that we have an idea of what the inverse looks like, and again, this is pretty much going up, so I would imagine these oil stocks are going to be going down, right? Okay, so again, on the daily for OXY, there were a few good days up, and that's exactly what we saw on SCO, right? We saw those few bad days down, and then again, we have this curve, and look, I'm very proud of these horizontal lines that I drawn. It took me a minute to learn it. And if you watch enough videos, hopefully you're really seeing how I'm doing it too, right? But it's important to make these because, again, these moving averages only give you so much, right? And once you're over or under them, these become super, super critical. But clearly, we made a run right to my line, and it pretty much fell down. And look, I've mentioned this a few times. Let me zoom in. You have 1, 2, 3, 4 moving averages and one of my lines. I call this a cluster, okay? And generally, you break up from a cluster and keep running, or you break down from a cluster and just fall, right? So we are sitting in a really bad place. And I think going along with what we saw in SCO, that might mean that oil is actually going to do badly and SCO might do well, right? But again, still early in the week, but I don't know, this is an important cluster as well on the weekly. I realize it's only 2 lines, but again, it's not easy to break one, let alone two, let alone a third with my line, right? You know, again, these are computer generated, this one's manually drawn, and when they all kind of marry together, it gives me a little reassurance, right? So just being mindful that oil might not be doing well, a lot of it being what we saw on SCO. Man, INDO. Okay, so INDO, I'm going to have to zoom out a lot. I hate doing that. One of the things I mentioned on INDO was it just was not over the 100 for such a long time, right? And one of the things I said was, hey, look, if you rode this up all the way there, beautiful, right? You made a really nice percentage and I love it, right? I hope you banked a lot of it. Other people, I don't want to get, bag holders, right? That's the term. And I stressed, look, it needs to close over the 100, right? There definitely was a good run. A lot of people started buying. Someone bought all the way up here at nearly 950 and we're sitting at 630, right? I'm telling you, this is why technical analysis is really good, right? We haven't been over the 100 in so long. Unless we closed here and really made it seem like we did, this should be more than expected. So hopefully you're learning. And again, one more time, look at this cluster, right? It tries to break through. Now it's kind of going backwards on this cluster, right? So be careful with INDO. Oh man, look again, tight cluster, 3 lines right there, right? It broke one, kind of broke two, but really not really, right? It actually, the 100 and the 20 pretty much lined up. Yeah, look at that. The 20 was 782, the 100 was 786, and it couldn't break that, right? So again, clusters of moving averages are real things. Look at that RSI too. I don't know if I mentioned the RSI on OXY, but that's a real ugly RSI. Looks like the MACD is curving, kind of coming back into the negative. And again, look, we're at negative 10%, right? Unless something magical happens. Let's just look at the hourly. Yeah, look, again, the hourly's been nothing but trading actually across a number of days. This entire day was pretty much losing the 108, right? So I don't like to go into the hourly. I'm not an intraday trader, but I'm just kind of seeing what's going to happen. But yeah, ugly on INDO for sure. CEI. Oh man, again, look, not as distinct, but couple days going up, right? That's what we saw with OXY. That's what we saw with INDO. That's the opposite of what we saw with SCO. The last couple days on this curve, definitely a little bit louder here. This one's -8, right? So CEI is definitely hurting. I'm going to draw a new line right here, the bottom of this guy. And again, this guy's kind of just sitting in all-time low range. Ugly RSI. We're in the negatives with the MACD, and it kind of looks like green's going to go under as well, right? So, yeah, just kind of be careful, right? There's not too much more I can really say here. I know we're at 19 cents. I know it seems like, how much lower can this go? This thing can go lower 18 cents. You know what I mean? And I'm not implying this is going to go to zero, but just be careful, right? You lose half a penny, and that's a 20% drop, right? So, no, that's actually full penny. Sorry, 6 cents. I can't do that, sorry. But look at that, right? I mean, it's just, it really can be devastating, and you don't want to put your money in something because of one green pop, right? And then a 25% after. That's horrible. Wait till we get over the 8, right? I say these rules not for fun, right? Get over the 8 on the weekly, you'll have a bunch of good days on the daily, right? Otherwise, you're just gonna, oh man, So again, be careful. I'm not bashing on these. I'm just, being realistic. So I think this is the last one that's gonna kind of follow the oil stocks, IMPP. Again, this one did well on the curve up. Not as dramatic as the other ones, but you can kind of start seeing it, right? So, hey, if you were able to get in from 25 cents all the way up to this 40-cent run, man, that's almost 100%, and I sincerely hope you bank that, right? It looks like that might all be going away, right? So just be careful and play smart, right? Again, look, definitely over the 8, still over the 8 technically, but definitely early in the week, kind of seems like it might drop. Just be really careful with IMPP. But hopefully you made a nice bank over the last really 2 weeks, right? From the 26th till basically today. Moving out of oil and kind of coming into more of the energy ones, right? So UEC, I'm sure there is a uranium short ticker. I don't really look at it if you want to know the truth. But hey, what do we see here, right? A very tight cluster, literally all five. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, with basically 3 of my horizontals right through it, right? So UEC is probably going to be moving in this cluster. It definitely almost lost it here. Luckily, it bounced back up. But again, hey, if you don't bounce again, you might be coming down. I like this RSI, giving it a little bit of hope. I will say that. But again, I wouldn't touch this until we broke $4 for sure, because it's definitely a lot safer up here than it is anywhere in here or obviously down there, right? So wait for a confirmed break of 4 would be my non-financial advice. So again, the weekly looked like it was going to bounce off this 100 line. Definitely a super tight cluster, right? So it's either going to cluster up or it's either going to cluster down, right? Again, the repetitiveness should show you that this thing, it's learnable, number one, and two, it really happens often. So GEVO, man, I love me some GEVO, I'll be honest, but obviously the lines are saying just stay away from GEVO for now, right? So nothing but trading under or on the 8. Again, a nice little run right here, but clearly the 20 was a hard rejection. You can even say my line was that extra confirmation of the rejection, right? But nice day break, definitely needed to be up here for confirmation, right? Drops. Okay, we'll kind of call that a second attempt. Again, I needed it to be up here, right? So, and none of these 2 days closed over this day, right? So, and then obviously the 3 days that followed, right? So again, if you watched some of my videos, you'll see some of these, because what I just talked about on these 3 candles, I know for a fact I talked about on my NASDAQ, S&P 500, and Dow Jones video, right? So that exact same thing literally happened right here, right? I was talking about good, bad days, bad days, good days, and bad, good days, right? So that 3 is a good example and really is the exact same thing I was talking about on a video I think I made on Sunday, give or take. But yeah, GEVO's looking ugly, right? I don't even have to look at the weekly. Yeah, nothing but trading under, right? Should be no surprise. Even this 2-day thing really didn't amount to much, right? So it was a good little pop, but yeah, it's just you want to be over the 8 on the weekly, so you'll have a bunch of days over the 8 on the daily, right? It hopefully is making a bunch of sense as I say it more and more to you. LIACF, again, actually the exact same chart as GEVO, right? Give or take, a bunch of days under, had a nice little pop. This for sure could have faked someone out, because this looks like a good break of the 20. This looks like a good confirmation, and it got over this line, but just didn't follow through, right? And I think a little bit of that goes to, look, there's basically 4 lines right here. I know it's a little spaced. It's not as tight as the 4 lines are here, but generally speaking, I don't want to see all the lines this close, right? I want to see a good spacing. It makes it easier to tackle one line at a time versus this one, then immediately this one, and this one. It just, stocks get tired, right? It's like running a marathon, right? I'm not going to go to the weekly. I'm sure it looked exactly like GEVO. So last on the list, look, I love this stock. I'm not going to pretend I don't. I think TMC could do well one day. Unfortunately, the lines are just, not there, and it is what it is, right? And you got to take emotion out. And again, what are we doing? There's 1, 2, 3, 4. One of the lines is literally on my 107 line. And look, I personally would not put my hard-earned money until we're up here, right? Let's see what happens in this cluster, because it's either going to go like this or it's going to go like this. And if you get greedy and try to, buy it here before it happens to make more that way, man, that's not the game. Buy it right here and write it up there. It's safer, right? So again, I'm not trying to tell you what to do with your hard-earned money or your trading strategies, but I'm a big fan of safe trading versus, you know, trying to make that max profit per dollar. Because I promise that's not what the game is. It's just make a profit on your dollar. That'll go a long way. So again, weekly's not looking good. A little better than GEVO, don't get me wrong, but still way too tight a cluster to feel comfortable with. Hey, I sincerely hope you're learning. I hope you've subscribed. Otherwise, thank you so much for all your time. And yeah, I hope you're learning. Never hesitate to ask any questions.